Welcome back to How About That Crypto. You are watching your weekend review with your host, Bitcoin Stylist on Twitter and Bitcoin Hairstylist on Instagram. All right, this week we discussed there's been tons of regulation risk and activity. Despite the crash, investments keep flooding in. More and more adoptions been coming, and I bought the dip. And if you stay till the end, I will spend some time discussing my thoughts on what's going to happen next week and answer the question in depth. What I've been asked most is, are you worried about crypto since the price has collapsed? We got a lot to unpack, but before we get into it, please like and comment, give me some feedback. Please click the link in my bio on Instagram and go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. It helps support me. It doesn't cost you anything more than 2 minutes of your time. Just to be clear and litigious, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. You can use this information and the links I give you to do your own research. Okay, welcome to the weekend review. This week's news stories were: SEC rejects accounting of Bitcoin. MicroStrategies, which is a company owned by Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is the #1 crypto bull in the world. He's the one that arguably got Elon Musk to buy Bitcoin and put it on Tesla's balance sheet. Well, the SEC has rejected the way that they have done their accounting, they being MicroStrategies, and I'm sure Tesla is going to have the same issue, so I'm curious to see what happens with that. The SEC is saying that you can't consider Bitcoin or crypto capital investments, like a money instrument. It has to be considered more like an intangible asset. Or I gave the example that you can have in the salon that where I work. If you buy some chairs for the stylist to work in, well, every year the value drops off because they depreciate, and that is like a tax write-off. But you can't write up the value if all of a sudden the cost of chairs skyrockets. We can't turn around and say, oh, our company is worth more money. And so that's how the SEC sees Bitcoin. It's a simplistic concept, but it relays the information. Crypto exchanges are in the crosshairs. There's been a ton of activity with the SEC going after crypto exchanges. They're focusing first on the ability for you to earn interest on your crypto. So if you're not earning interest on your crypto right now, there might be some consideration on finding a way to earn yield while you still can, because who knows what's going to happen with that. Russia talked about banning crypto, but it was really the Russian central bank that said we should ban it, or they should ban it. And then Russian finance ministry came out, our minister of finance came out and said, no, we shouldn't ban it. We should regulate it and tax it. And then Putin was like, oh, well, we have the advantage. And secretly, according to anonymous sources anyway, he said that he prefers the Ministry of Finance over the central bank, and publicly said y'all need to work it out. But he also has said that they have an advantage over everybody, even the U.S., because they have, one, it's really cold there, or in parts of their country it's much colder, which is good for the mining operations, and they have a ton of hydroelectric power, which is green, left over from the former Soviet industrial complexes or whatever. So they just got all this excess stuff from their past. They have all this excess energy, and they're not going to sell their natural gas because it's too easy to try to manipulate the supply and keep the Europeans thirsty for what you got. And by the way, the U.S. is shipping a massive amount of natural gas to Europe to ease the burden, and maybe they won't rely on Russia so much, which may be beneficial to geopolitical stuff when it comes to us, although that's not what this show is about. Anyway, moving on, there is a nonprofit government oversight organization called Empower Oversight. You can check them out. They are a nonprofit, and they're suing the SEC over how they're dealing with crypto, with the lawsuit that I've been talking a lot about. So they They did a FOIA, Freedom of Information request. SEC only complied with 2 out of 8. They didn't comply with 6, so now they're getting sued by this nonprofit independent government oversight organization. So let's see how that pans out. Blockchain.com adds Walmart director to their board. This guy that they added is a pretty big deal. He's on the board of American Airlines and GE. And they also added somebody from, I think, Morgan Stanley to their board. Blockchain.com is they have a wallet, and they're looking to expand their company and go public. So we'll see how that pans out. I'd be curious to see these crypto companies going public when the SEC is targeting crypto companies. So we'll see how that plays out. McDonald's tweets about crypto, and Elon Musk comes out and says, if you take Dogecoin, I'll eat McDonald's on camera and post it. McDonald's did not. Oh, McDonald's replied and said only if you take Grimace coin, and Grimace is some character in their advertisements, and nothing kind of really came about that. But another company, another burger joint company, like a big, I think it was Mr. Beast Burger Company, came out and said, we're going to look into Dogecoin if you can retweet this. I think people are like, oh, McDonald's not going to do it, but I'm a smaller player, and maybe I'll do it. And imagine their business is going to boom just from getting Elon Musk to tweet about it. It might not even have anything to do with crypto. Anyways, moving on. Nerds on the internet found a video supporting SEC is shady. And when I say nerds, that is Nerd Nation Unbox on Twitter. They found a video and had been posting it and kind of went a little viral, at least in the crypto community. And it shows the former SEC chairman saying that, referring to a speech by one of his colleagues who is a former SEC person also. Yo, what's up? How you doing? And he said, Jay Clayton, the former SEC chairman, said that we, the royal we, as in the SEC, looks to Hinman's speech for guidance, which is a clear indication that the SEC is following these set of guidelines, which they're all on the SEC website, which if you want any of these links, just go to the respective episodes on the YouTube channel, or you can find them on my Twitter. My Twitter handle is Bitcoin Stylist, and you can check out those links and do the research for yourself. I'm not making this stuff up, but it says on their website what their policies are, but now the SEC is saying, oh no, that was just their personal opinion. But it's on your website. Anyway, I digress. Moving on. Washington Post says authoritarian government should be worried about Web3. It's an incredible article, and I'm so happy to see mainstream media is actually posting stuff out there that shows just how big Web3 can be and just why authoritarian type governments do not like it. So let's just see if the U.S. goes the way of some of these other authoritarian governments. But, more about that later, because I have some thoughts about, what the future is looking like, and I'll get to that in the end. Facebook sells their cryptocurrency. So you might remember Facebook wanted to start up their own crypto, and it was going to be a stable coin. It was going to be a basket of goods. It kind of sounded like they were looking for an international reserve currency to create, and it got swatted down by Congress and regulators. And now that Facebook is Meta, they're going into the metaverse. They're trying to sell off their assets and maybe get away from some scrutiny, or maybe they know something that's about to come down and they don't want to have that on in their business. I don't know, but they sold it to another company or a bank that's going to use it, and so we might see that company, something from that company in the future. The Fed issues guidance. We talked about the Fed paper that just was released, or not the Fed paper, but the Federal Reserve had their meeting. They said that inflation is a concern, and they are planning to stop pumping the money supply by March and even raise rates. Now we'll see if they do that, but that is definitely how the markets responded, as if the rates are already going up and that there is no more monetary easing. So that's why one of the biggest reasons why you saw tech collapse And right now, crypto is like a leveraged ETF for tech almost. It's like if you invest in crypto and tech goes down 10%, crypto is going to go down 30% or something like that. So that has a big part of it. Crypto and tech are still considered risk-on assets, so people are looking to move away from risky stuff. At least that's the conventional wisdom and what a lot of Wall Street is saying. We'll see how that pans out in the future. Ex-Goldman Sachs CEO is now a crypto bull. He came on air a year ago, and or maybe it was 6 months ago. It's been a while, and he said that if I was a regulator, I would be hyperventilating over cryptocurrency. And now he's like, you know what? Actually, I've seen this industry is maturing, and it's looking pretty good, and I would want to be involved in that. And I wonder if he is, because he's an ex-CEO now, and he didn't talk about that, but he definitely said that if he was still running the business, he would want in. Well, and more about that in a minute, because I have something to say about that. Moving on, does Putin like crypto now? Well, I just mentioned that he does like crypto, and we'll see how that pans out. We're waiting to see. All right. Well, that's the news and review. If you want any more information, I give a lot more depth in the daily updates, so you can just go back and watch them. They're titled, and so you'll be able to find your way, and you can even find the links on YouTube in the respective episodes. Okay, so you stayed till the end, and now I am going to tell you what my thoughts are for next week, as well as I'm going to answer in depth the question that I keep getting asked by all my clients. How do you feel about crypto now? Are you worried about crypto now that it's dropped? Okay, so let's start off with next week. Next week, the big thing that I'm thinking about is Joe Biden is expected to drop an executive order. And interviews with sources close to the White House have indicated a desire to control the speed and size of growth of the crypto industry as a means of national security. Remember the last time we used national security? Yeah, well, I'm sure you know where I'm going to go with that, so I'm not even going to go there. Okay, and so the other thing that these sources close to the White House are saying is that they want to bring some of the crypto into the purview of the banks. And basically, crypto is disrupting the banking industry, but the government is going to not allow that to happen and give banks some sort of control. That's the speculation. We'll see exactly what happens. I will be reporting on that, believe me. All right, so that kind of brings me to how I'm feeling. I'm very anxious and waiting to hear. There's a ton of anti-crypto FUD. If you haven't been watching, FUD is a term it's an acronym that's being widely used in the crypto space. It's called fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So FUD can be real, it can be fake, and a lot of it is just fear. People are scared, they're uncertain, they have doubt. And that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the value that is being created by the ecosystems that are being built out in the crypto industry. Now, something positive, because it's not all negative. I just have a heightened sense of risk in general, and people who know me might not really understand that about me, because I like to play poker and I like to make investments. I like to take risks, but I don't like to take risks that I don't understand. So I have this thing where I just really think about really bad scenarios, and then I figure out how I feel about those bad scenarios before I make any financial moves. So the positive side of things is institutional and VC investors continue to invest. Publicly traded companies continue to invest and build out infrastructure and products and filing patents and trademarks. So there's tons of activity that's going on, but basically people want clarity from the regulators. More bankers are coming out saying they want in and give us clarity. Like Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs are indicating at least that they want clarity so that they can move. You have $40 billion was deposited onto platforms that provide yield. That's $40 billion that did not go into the banks looking for returns. So you can imagine that the banks want in, and are they propagating and lobbying to destroy the industry, or are they just trying to push along some sort of regulation so that they can like just stop the deposits leaving their banks. And hopefully it's the latter. So I'm cautiously optimistic, so I want to be optimistic about it, and I'm waiting and seeing. I'm not buying any more right now unless Bitcoin goes below 31,000, and then I feel like I'm going to feel obligated to buy more because that's my target range. And anyway, so I'm usually cautiously optimistic, but lately I've been feeling a little weary. But call me crazy, but I still believe in the democratic process. I still believe in checks and balances. I still believe that the government works for us, not the other way around. And I still have faith in the USA. I just have no faith in our elected representatives. But I don't believe that you can live in between. Because if you live in between, you're just living in fear and uncertainty and doubt. And then I feel like I can never make a decision to make an investment. So I pick faith in the USA, and I pick hope. And as the industry matures, we've seen the FBI be able to retrieve crypto. You know, the Colonial Pipeline hack, they were able to get a lot of that crypto back. So the FBI, the CIA, the SEC, they're going to all those acronyms, Washington, D.C. acronyms, they're going to figure it out. They're going to figure out how to police it and regulate it. And you know, that doesn't mean that it needs to be regulated to death or banned. We just have to wait and see and communicate with your representatives, and you know, we'll see. Or you can just sit on the sidelines and watch it burn or watch it blow up. But it's going to one way or the other. I don't really see this thing just going to a snail's pace. I see, you know, unfavorable regulation coming in or worse, and then investors just flee and there's like a fire sale. I don't see this being like, oh, okay, well, we're going to fight the government for 2 or 3 years. You know, Ripple Labs has been Ripple Labs versus the SEC, which is the case I've been talking about, which is the biggest case in the crypto history, and it's going to set judicial precedent barring some congressional action. Well, that case started in 2020. So if the entire industry feels threatened that they're going to have to go through legal battles, who's going to be part of that? You know, all of a sudden there's going to be winners and losers, or they're all going to be losers. So I don't think this is going to be a slowdown thing. This is going to be like a fire sale and a freak out, or it's going to be a boom. Or it could be like a slow wait for the economy to kind of get some footing underneath of it with all this fear about, you know, tensions between the Ukraine and Russia, China and Taiwan, the U.S.'s part in that. You know, there's a lot of big stuff happening. COVID, the new variant coming that's super contagious and spreading super fast. You know, all this stuff is definitely hampering any real growth in price, but it's not stopping growth in building. There's still investments coming in, and that people are still building. So that said, I will not waver. I believe in this. I believe that this is going to change a lot of how we interact with each other. I think it gives a lot of power to individuals and gives a lot of power to communities, the ability to come together globally, not just with your region or your country. And for the first time in history, the common person, you and me, have an advantage over financial institutions. The financial institutions are like, give us clarity or shut this down because we want in because we're losing deposits. Well, they can't get in because of all the they are so regulated that they're weary about getting involved. So the theory is, and this is what I believe, that when the banks are able to get in and there's regulatory clarity, not only the banks, but everybody else who's been sitting on the sidelines wondering if this is a safe bet is probably going to feel a lot more comfortable making an investment, and that's when the people who weather the storm are going to get paid. Not financial advice, just my opinion. This is what I'm doing. All right, and I want to talk about something. Paul Krugman, which is a Nobel laureate, whatever. He is a well-known economist, and a lot of politicians and Washington types like listening to him. He came out recently and said that the crypto industry is like the mortgage crisis, the real estate crisis of 2008. I have no idea what he's talking about, and like he's a Nobel Prize winner, but whatever. Like the guy sounds like he doesn't know what he's talking about, and I'm sorry, but I just like, how can you say that? And I got some pieces of information that I did dig in a little bit to give you, just to like give you my perspective, and you can figure out what you think for yourself. Like, should we listen to this person? You know, this is the type of stuff that is push politicians away from friendly regulation. So this is not to be taken lightly. So there is the leverage in the industry is over collateralized, meaning that you have to put up money to like take on loans. There are some platforms that allow you to take out loans to make bets, but they're very complex, and the average person would need to do a ton of research to figure out how to get into them. And most of the leverage is collateralized, meaning that if the price fluctuates and goes down, you'll just lose your initial investment. It's nothing like 2008. Either he doesn't know what he's talking about, or the guy's being influenced by the incumbents that are being threatened by this industry. So I got some few points, okay? These are my opinions, and you know, this is not the news. This is you hearing my opinion. I report the news, but this is my perspective. Okay, so 2008 was debt and overextension. Debt is over collateralized in crypto, as I said, meaning that you have to put money up, and they only give you a fraction of what you put up to trade with. So you don't lose money you didn't have, basically. And it's nowhere near the size. Even if that previous statement, you could argue with it because how much percentage of people are taking out naked, like just a straight up loan to invest in. Now, check this out. Wikipedia says that the household net worth lost $13 trillion in America when 2008 crisis collapsed. Crypto at its max was $3 trillion. So how is that any near the same thing? Just saying. Mortgage-backed securities were perpetuated by a presidential mandate. Bush told Fannie and Freddie to give people loans, push people into homes, including people of lower incomes, which tend to be higher credit risk. So that was just one mechanism, not to mention all the regulations that relaxed during Clinton's administration. You can just like check my information. I'm not making this stuff up. And so policy was pushed for loans to be given out. Regulations relaxed under two different presidents, one Republican, one Democrat. And loans were given to people who couldn't afford them, and people took loans they couldn't afford. There's no blame here. These are just the facts. So, and these are massive loans. And then the prices dropped, and then people were underwater. How is that anything like crypto? People are losing. If people lose their money, it's because they got in and then got out and didn't think long term. They just got afraid of the volatility. Or, you know, are people taking out loans? I don't see, you know, enough evidence of that to, you know, substantiate this guy's claims. This is more organic growth. Government's not involved. The banks are not involved. It's a very different scenario. Just saying. But if I'm wrong, I'm going to lose my money, and, you know, the regulations will come in and this can all blow up in my face, but I just have I don't believe that that's going to happen. You know, I'm cautiously optimistic and a little weary at the same time, but I'm going to keep the faith. I'm going to buy the dip, and I'm going to hodl with diamond hands. So you think about that while you're having a good weekend, and I'll see you next week for more news and updates. And until then, I'm your host, Bitcoin Stylist on Twitter, and please like and subscribe, give me feedback. I would love to know your thoughts. Please debate me. I really want to hear your input. I don't expect everyone to agree with me. This is just me giving my opinion, and I really would like some feedback. Please click the link in the link tree if you're watching on Instagram. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and like, and it helps support me. It doesn't cost you anything. Hodl on.